Hello, seniors, and welcome to your senior seminar on college planning to help you get ready for the next steps in your life. We're really excited for this group of kids, for this group of students, and we know that you're going to make some great choices and great decisions with your future. So today is all about helping you with some additional information about the college application process, but also how it works at Rosemont High School, how we can help you, how we can give you some tips to help you get ready to get started with this process and be as successful as possible. So class of 2021, here you are, and it's time to start planning and thinking ahead for what your next steps are going to look like. Welcome, September 24th and 25th. It's advisory time. We're going to start out by telling you who the counselors are for this school year. There's been a couple changes, so we want you to know about it and have some more of this information. If your last name begins with A through CH, you're going to be with Ms. Boldis. If you're CI through HAI as a last name, Mr. Desjardins will be your counselor. If your last name is HAJ through LEA, you're going to be with Ms. Martinson. LEB through NL and avid 12th graders are with Mr. Ostis. If your last name starts with NM through ROE, it's Ms. Hanson. ROF through SWA is Ms. Stenson. And then SWB through Z, you're with me, Mr. Terry, at the end of the alphabet. Hopefully that helps you. There's been a couple switches, so make sure to pay extra close attention. And maybe I even helped you with a couple pronunciations of some of those difficult names today. We also have three other really important staff people in our office. Ms. Schaefer is the person, the registrar, who adds all of your credits to your transcript. Ms. Hai is the Career Center specialist. She's always available to help you if you have questions about specific colleges and the military and two-year colleges that have a lot of options for you. And then Ms. Strunk is our counseling office secretary who sits at the front desk with a friendly face. Before we can start to think about your future, though, we do really need to talk about the graduation requirements. You would be surprised how many seniors, even when they're on top of things, are missing one or two of these credits that they need to graduate, and without them, you could be held up in the process. So I want to make sure we cover this today. You can double check your credits and your transcript on campus by logging in there. And you'll want to make sure that in your planner for this year and all 4 years, you have 4 full years of English, 12 trimester credits. You have 4 full years of social studies. Your senior year needs to include 1 credit of economics at a minimum. You need 3 years of math and science at a minimum and 9 trimester credits of each of those. Many of you will take a 4th year, of course, because a lot of colleges hope for and look for that to help you be really successful in your future. Maybe the most confusing section here is the gym requirements, the PE requirements and credits that need to happen. So we have exercise, sports, and science 1 and 2, which you took freshman year. Most of you also took safety ed your freshman year. Sophomore year, you would have taken wellness and a couple other PEs, and you need to get up to 3 before you graduate PEs. And 7 total credits in that gym, health, and phy-ed category. So make sure to look at yours. Do your PE credits, safety ed, and wellness options get you to 7 total credits. If you think you might be off, make sure to contact your counselor, and they can look closely at that for you to schedule that and make sure it all lines up and it makes sense. Everyone also needs 1 fine arts credit to get you to a total of 66. In the middle of all that, anything that doesn't fall into one of these categories is called an elective. You'll need at least 23 credits. Most Rosemont students graduate with over 70 credits, but the absolute minimum is 66. Make sure that you have enough to be on track and graduate on time. As you're thinking about your credits, you might also be thinking right now about your schedule a little bit. Right now, we're pretty cemented for trimester 1. The only other opportunity during the school year to make a change is during our T2 and T3 schedule review, which happens from November 2nd to the 5th. Schedule changes will be considered on a course availability basis. So you do need to consult the closed course list, which will be shared with you on Schoology, on the website, and in other communications from the counseling office. There's a new form that we started last year called a schedule change request form that you will need to fill out if you want to be considered for a schedule change for T2 or T3. Remember, those changes are pretty minimal, and especially during times right now, our classes are pretty full, and it might make sense for you to stick with your assigned schedule as closely as possible. State testing options are coming up. On October 6th, we have a school-wide ACT test. You did have the option to opt out, so some of you chose that option. If that's your situation, you do not need to pay attention to this slide moving forward. You do not need to show up for the ACT. Everybody else is automatically registered. You don't need to do anything else to get yourself set up for that. 15 students will be assigned per room to make sure there's social distancing. There is a mask requirement during that test. Please remember to come rested, have a good breakfast, be on top of it. Bring your A game. You can bring pencils, number 2 pencils. You'll need a photo ID. Make sure to bring an ACT approved calculator. And this year you can bring a snack as long as you set it alongside the wall while you're testing for the break. Don't bring technology, your phone, an iPad, any watch that might beep or make noise. Any of those disturbances are an automatic exit, an automatic kicking out of the ACT on test day. So don't put yourself into that scenario. If you choose not to take the ACT test, you do have the option to take the ASVAB test, which is the qualifying test for the military, or an AccuPlacer test, which is the qualifying test for 2-year college options. If you'd like some of those choices, talk to your counselor or our Career Center specialist, Ms. Hai. We can fill you in on those options that are coming up. Also this year, we're keeping a very up-to-date list of all of our military recruiters that are in this area. So if you want to explore some of those options or think about ROTC or a military academy, let your counselor, Ms. Hai, know again, and we keep an updated list of military contacts in the area. After you've done the October 6th ACT test, or if you've taken any of those tests to this point, you can go to ACT.org, which is the website that is right here in front of you on the screen. They have some really helpful information about COVID and how everything is going during this time. This is where you'll order any official ACT score reports, and eventually your October 6th test date will sync into this website, and you will be able to send it to any test requirement for a college that you need. Okay, this is an important time in your senior year to be thinking about some college visits. So maybe you've done some of this in the summer, maybe you did it last year a little bit, but it's a very important time to follow up with this in your senior year. You can check the admissions office websites to schedule a virtual visit right now, whether that's a tour, an admissions rep visit, connecting with a professor or a teacher at the college. All those options are more available than ever right now. Colleges know they need to step up their game and give you some more choices virtually. So don't hesitate to reach out to them and let them know that you'd like to visit their campus. It's best to schedule those visits when the colleges are in session. Some good dates for that coming up is the MEA break on October 15th and 16th. And then November 4th, you don't have any school either. Visits will fill up fast at some of these colleges. So do make sure, even though there's a lot of options, to set up some time to meet with these schools. Some of them might have limited options in person also, and would just highly recommend that you reach out to these schools so you get the best information possible to see if some of these colleges could be a good fit for you. The National College Fair has traditionally been in the Minneapolis Convention Center. These college fairs are the largest college fairs in the country. They are doing these virtually this year on October 12th, 18th, and November 8th. On the website below, virtualcollegefairs.org, you can go online to sign up for a national college fair. There's so many options. You'll go into virtual chatting rooms with different college representatives and get some really helpful information this way. We encourage you as seniors to use Naviance Student more than ever, especially this section in the colleges tab here. Students that I've worked with closely mention that they go on the site multiple times, up to hundreds of times, doing more college research, doing some personality inventories, getting some helpful information, and also always keeping track of their college applications in Naviance Student. It is the best college and career website in the nation, and we're very lucky to have access to this in District 196, but take advantage of your Naviance Student account. The college application process, let's dig into this a little bit. The first step is always to register for an account online at the colleges that you're thinking about, and then eventually complete an online application. There are still some paper choices, but for the most part, you're going to be doing online applications. You'll also be required at most schools to pay an application fee. October is College Knowledge Month in Minnesota, so most schools are going to give you free college applications during the month of October. We will send you more information about that, but good to keep that in the back of your mind. Once you've registered for the college application, you've completed the app online and done all the parts that are necessary on your end, you will add the colleges you've applied to in Naviance Student by clicking on Colleges Home and then Colleges I'm applying to. Eventually, after you've applied, you will need some supplements. Things like that ACT score report that I was just talking about that you need to order from their website, or a transcript, an official transcript. To order that, you can go straight to the counseling homepage under Families, Counseling, College and Career, and then Transcripts. You do need to request a transcript request form directly from our link. We will not take any other kinds of college transcript requests. So the only way we'll send your transcript is through the transcript request form found on the website, or I sent you this link also in your Schoology senior group last week. So either of those ways you access that link, that's how you need to do it. You can submit up to 3 transcript requests on one form. If you need more than 3, you just fill out another form. If you have some schools you're applying to now, but think you'll apply to another group of schools later, just fill out a transcript request form for each one of those different groups of schools that you're applying to. For common application apps, you'll need to complete something called the FERPA consent waiver in the common application, and then you'll go into Naviance Student under colleges I'm applying to, and you'll link up those 2 accounts, but it won't let you do that until you've filled out the FERPA consent form in Common Application. A $5 payment will be required for each transcript that you request in My Payments Plus, which is the new way to pay high school fees. But you need to make sure once you've done the transcript request form, it will give you instructions on what you need to do next, that you also pay for each transcript. If you don't pay, the transcripts won't be sent. Remember that some schools like the University of Minnesota Twin Cities is now allowing you to do your own reporting of your grades. If the University of Minnesota is saying you can report your own grades, you do not then also need an official transcript. They won't require anything until your final transcript at the very end of the school year, which we will send for you at the end of the school year. So anytime you're self-reporting grades, you won't need a transcript on the front end. So you're starting with registering for an application account, you're completing the application on your own, you're entering in the information into Naviance Student, then you're requesting your supplements. ACT, you're doing that from the ACT website. Transcripts, you're doing from our transcript request form. And then finally, you're going to complete any additional requirements that these schools have of you. And it's a little bit different at each school. So it's going to be dependent on the college you're applying to, and you'll want to watch closely the emails they send you and the information you receive from them. Remember, they're not going to be communicating with you via social media. They're going to ask you for an email account, and you might want to create one just for your college applications. Some important things to remember. Make sure to turn in your college applications and your transcript request form at least 2 weeks previous to any application deadline. Your application is not complete at the colleges until every piece of your application has been submitted. So even if you've done your section, but the transcript and the ACT score and the fee waiver, or the fees that are required are not paid, your app will not look complete to the colleges. You need to make sure that you are ahead of the game and that you're requesting some of these things weeks in advance. You must send your ACT and SAT scores directly through ACT's website or the College Board's website if you're using SAT. Remember, you can send up to 4 free ACT scores when you register for each ACT exam. Those colleges will automatically have your test scores because you've requested that the score report goes to the college. On October 1st and 2nd, you're going to be filling out the bubbles of your ACT test, and you will be able to request that going to 4 free colleges if you so desire. So be prepared to know which schools you're going to send that to for free if you'd like. If you don't send it for free, you have to pay for each time you send it out to the different schools. Keep your own record of where you've applied and sent these test scores, and document all of this in one place so that you don't lose the information and you're not behind the game. Most colleges in 2020, 2021 are going to be test optional, which means you have the choice to submit an official test score or not. To find out if the colleges that you're applying to are test optional, you can go to this great website called Fair Test. I've included the link to this website and you'll get this presentation at the end of the day. Some schools are called test blind, which means they won't look at your test scores no matter what at any point in the process. A test optional school will give you the choice whether you do it or not. A really good tip to think about if you're deciding whether or not to use a test score is to look in Naviance or somewhere else what the average scores have been at the colleges you're thinking about in the past. If your test scores line up with that average or are higher than that, then it might be good for you to submit your scores. If your test scores are at the average or below, probably going to want to choose that test optional route and not submit a test, and be able to have them look more closely then at your GPA, your school involvement, and some of the other pieces of their application. Do know if you choose to go test optional and not submit a test, all of the other pieces of your application will be looked at very closely. So spend your time and do your best when you're submitting those. For letters of recommendation, we do have a process for this too that you can find on our website or in the senior bookmark, which you're going to get access to at the end of this presentation as well. Please only request letters from your teachers if the college recommends it. You might think these teachers breeze through this process. It is time consuming and it is not as easy as you might think. So you only want to request this if it's required. The state universities in Minnesota, the U of M Twin Cities campus, and the University of Wisconsin system, some of the schools and other private colleges do not require this. Some of these schools do though, so you have to be real careful and watch this closely and only ask your teachers if it's required. Make sure to give your teachers a 2-week at least heads up. Organize a list of your skills, strengths, attributes, so that you can fill out a really good student survey on Naviance, which will be shared with your teachers or counselors as they're filling out their letters for you. So check the website or the senior bookmark for letters of recommendation details. Be careful with deadlines. Check each college application deadline carefully and keep track of all of this in one place. You might want to create a spreadsheet with all of your colleges, all of the deadlines, all of the passwords to get into the accounts. That will be incredibly helpful as you move forward in this process. Do remember some of the deadlines of our most applied to colleges. U of M Twin Cities, the early action deadline is November 1st. They have regular decision deadlines on December 1st and January 1st. And then the University of Wisconsin-Madison has an early application deadline of November 1st, and the second pool of applications aren't required to come in until February 1st. The later you apply, the later you'll find out. So just a heads up on staying early in the process. For those of you who are athletes and think that you want to play at the D1 or D2 level, you will need to complete the NCAA clearinghouse form online, and you'll want to meet with your counselor to talk more specifically about the NCAA requirements. You can go to this website, ncaaclearinghouse.net, where you'll be required to enter in some information about yourself on the front end, and then you'll send an official transcript directly to NCAA and an official ACT score report eventually. Rules are going to be a little bit more flexible with NCAA because of COVID this year. If you go to this website, at the top end of the NCAA website, Eligibility Center, you'll see some of those rules this year. So thankfully, they're giving students a little bit of a break on this process. So imagine yourself at the end of this school year, you've made your plans, you're getting close to that next step of your life. You'll eventually, after all of this COVID business is over, be able to be around some other students, maybe even participate in some orientation activities like they do at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. You can see here one of the traditions is to fill the big golden gopher M in the middle of the bank stadium, and this will be you. So you'll get through this application process, you'll be in an exciting spot, you'll be able to go to this next step of your life in college, and this is going to be very, very exciting. So we're really proud of you, class of 2021, and we know that you'll do some cool things. So in summary, do your best this school year. Avoid the senior slide. Instead, think about it like you're doing a senior springboard. You're going to have your best school year ever for grades. You're going to have an upward grade trend instead of going down in your senior year. Get started with your college applications now. Over the years, I've seen so many students that wait until the last minute just end up really stressed and exhausted and overwhelmed. If you start your process now and you plan accordingly, you'll be much healthier this year, you'll have a lot more fun, and you'll be able to enjoy and be happy at the end of the school year. Remember that October 6th ACT test is coming up. Give it your all, do your best, and just really come to that test with an open mind and prepared as possible. And know that you may or may not submit that test score, but it's there for you, whether you need it for the college applications or maybe a scholarship later on down the road. Schedule a senior meeting. If any of this doesn't make sense, or if you have questions or you're confused, you need some extra help reading through an essay or talking through an application or understanding what to do next or how many colleges to apply to, set up an appointment with your counselor. We'd love to talk about this planning process, and we'd love to help you out. So the way to do that is to go to the Rosemont High School website, click on families and then counseling again. And then underneath your counselor's photo, there's a link that says schedule an appointment, where we're doing some online scheduling this year. You can choose if you want to meet us in person, over the phone, or via a Zoom meeting. So don't hesitate to do that. We really want to talk to you folks about what's going on in your lives and the college application process. So in summary, with all of this, we're going to get you to this place now where you're thinking about your next steps in Naviance. So today, we'd love for you to complete a couple things. The first thing would be to log into Naviance. You can get there from the Rosemont High School website by clicking on families and then right here, the Naviance link. New to Naviance last year, you log in just like you do for Collab and Schoology. So it's a single sign-in. You don't use your ID numbers like you used to. You now just use the same exact thing you use for Collab or Schoology. Once you get inside Naviance, I'm going to show you a couple of things here on a different screen. You click on the Colleges tab. On your iPad, it's going to be 3 lines in the corner. It won't have these 4 words. You can click on the Colleges home, and we'll want to extend our session here. And I'll just take one more second to demo this for you. So we're going to go in just like a 12th grader right here. I'm going to click 12th grade. You are going to see the 3 lines in the corner. I'm going to see the colleges tab. From here, you're going to do a couple things. The first thing I'd like you to look at is our college visits. You can see all the available college visits coming up. And if you want to select one of them, you simply click register now. You can sign up for as many of those as you want to today, but there's some great ones coming up, and they're just for our Rosemont High School students specifically. If you are in the place where you don't know where to start with college applications and you need some ideas, I really like the idea of people going into a super match college search. This is where you can put in some of your priorities, preferences, and it'll line you up with a list of schools that fit your interests. So kids love this. It helps them come up with some schools on the front end, or maybe you have a couple already you know you're going to apply to, but you just want 2 or 3 more. This could be really helpful for you in the process. Super match college search. And the last thing I'm going to really encourage you to do today in the college's home section of Naviance is to indicate some colleges you're applying to. Keep track of this and keep it updated as you go. You'll need to do this as part of your transcript request form. And we want to see this so that we can help you as best as possible. When we know where you're applying, we might be able to tell you about specific information about those colleges that you're really thinking about. So I'm going to leave this up here as the final section here. So with some additional time left, you can do any of these different options, college visits, Supermatch college search, and colleges I'm applying to. If you don't have a ton of time today, go back to do this when you have a minute. And again, connect with your counselor at any point in this process if you need help. We're really excited for all of you. And thank you for your attention today. Have a great one, everybody. Look forward to the conversations and the next steps of your life.